recently I attended the National Conservative Conference in Brussels. It had Nigel Farage, Eric Zemmour, Suella Braverman and Viktor Orban, quite prominent figures in the European right. Some would say controversial. Personally, I don't think they go far enough. And there were many attempts to get this event shut down. 2 venues cancelled last minute, and there was a strong police presence trying to shut down the event. And obviously, this is outrageous. This is a threat to free speech and democracy, all that kind of stuff. Because honestly, it's like, what do you expect? Did you think that they would welcome you with open arms? Like, I'm just sorry, but there have been so many instances where free speech has come under threat, and the leftist authorities have tried to shut down dissenting voices. Any common sense talk on immigration isn't seen by the public. It's shut down. You don't see it on like BBC Question Time. You don't see it in our mainstream institutions. So I'm not really surprised that this happened. This is what I wanted to dedicate this video to, because there's this major problem with how the right reacts to this kind of stuff. Because there seems to be this cycle of a bad thing happening, such as an event getting shut down or somebody getting cancelled, or, I don't know, something goes woke, and the right reacts to it, and then the left gets outraged that the right reacts to it, and there's this back and forth for a few days on Twitter or on maybe GB News, and then we just move on to the next thing without anything getting done. And I think this speaks more broadly to this commentary industrial complex that we've created, where we have MPs who are in government. Instead of actually creating policy change, they just have shows on GB News talking about why the woke suck. And it's just like, do something about it. Have you forgotten you're in power? I think there's too much focus on the battle of ideas, the marketplace of ideas, because in the end, I don't think hashing out the arguments is really going to change anything or is really going to do anything. And the NatCon event really encapsulates that. Because while Suella Braverman, who was the Home Secretary, while she was speaking, not many people were actually paying attention to her. Everyone was focused on the back of the venue, where the entrance was, where the police were. And I think that actually speaks to where the power is. The power is in force, the power is in the coercion of the government, the coercion of the institutions, rather than Suella Braverman kicking it to the woke, saying we need to get rid of the ECHR, get out of the ECHR. Well, it's like, well, you have no power. The power is with the people trying to shut us down. Anyone can see that. So that's another thing as well. There was so much commotion about it. There was so much hype around the police coming. There was like this sinister grin on a lot of people's faces. Everyone was just so hyped of getting interviewed by like Sky News or GB News. It was so strange. I don't know why. I can't really encapsulate the words for that, but it was almost as if they enjoyed it, and that really, it didn't sit right with me. And I've thought long and hard about this, and I think it's because it encapsulates the victim mentality that the right has. They're happy that this means that they can have their 5 minutes of fame on GB News or Sky News or whatever media outlet was there, or that they would get some attention and this would like prove the point that the woke left have gone mad and that kind of thing. But then it's like, okay, so what? What's actually going to happen from that? Nothing. Our rights are just going to be suppressed even further, and this event is going to happen again and again and again. And yeah, sure, in the end, we were able to continue with the event, and it was a good event. However, while we won the battle, we've nowhere near won the war. And I think comparing this to the left, comparing it to how the left deals with any crisis or tragedy, case in point, George Floyd, like, look at what happened with George Floyd, the response of that. There was mass rioting, mass protesting it created, how much legislation, how many policies were created because of that one incident, compared to literally everything going on with the right. We have a Conservative government, nothing's happening with that. Like, what have the Conservative government achieved? There have been so many incidents which could draw up support around legislation, around immigration, around transgenderism and gender ideology, around so many right-wing issues. Yet the right just chooses not to. It's really pathetic, quite frankly. And I don't want to be too cynical about this, because I think it would be one thing if we were rallying behind this incident and calling for reform, calling for something, rather than just being like, oh, the left are so mean, they're so mean and cruel, oh no. Because instead of a victim mentality, we need a hero mentality, I guess you can call it. Because in any movie, in any story, the hero faces adversity, they face a challenge, and they conquer it, they battle it, and they do what is right. Whereas the right, especially in the UK, and from what I can tell, most of the rest of Europe and the West, they just face that struggle and just complain about that struggle for the rest of eternity. And there's no virtue in that. There's nothing honourable about that, and I don't think it convinces many people. It just gets them frustrated. Until the right learns that we need to actually act instead of just talk about these things, instead of just whine about these things, we're just going to lose. So yeah, I guess that's my rambling done. If you liked this video, please subscribe, and please check out my Substack and become a paying supporter if you can, because I'm trying to dedicate more time and effort onto content creation, and your support means a lot in helping me do that. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.